I get asked a lot, Carla, how did you get into project management so quickly? And usually I give them a very sanitized PC answer. But what I want to say, if I was allowed to, and if I didn't hurt their feelings, was that I worked my ass off very early on in my career, especially in a technical career. I'm talking working 16-hour days when I was 22, 23, 24. That's how you get to project management quickly and then make it look easy. And eventually, opportunities just kind of get thrown at you instead of you constantly begging and strategizing and figuring out how to get the next opportunity. Please don't cancel me. But that's literally how I did it. That's how I accelerated my career. Of course, there were other strategies that I'll get into in this video, but I truly and honestly believe that your 20s are meant for you to put in that time to get really good at something. And if you're smart about it, you'll get really good at high revenue skills. So if you're trying to go into project management, you'll pay attention to these skills that you're going to need to get you to a project manager much quicker. Like I said, early on in my career, I worked those very, very, very long hours. When I was in my 20s, I was trying to deliver complete project, not just tasks within a project. I was trying to be involved in what it meant to deliver a whole project. A lot of the time, I actually didn't charge my time because a lot of it was me spending my time learning and researching. I mean, I was spending my evenings reading the scope of work and trying to understand the schedule and the work breakdown structure of each project. And I'm not saying you should do this because boundaries are good and a work-life balance is a good thing. I'm just saying that this is how I did it. All of that extra time that I put into learning more, researching more, doing more on a project led me to just understanding things much sooner than my peers. And I was able to become part of those high-level conversations because I just understood a little more, because I was spending those evenings trying to understand the project, but not just that, also trying to hone in on my technical skills, trying to figure out how to deliver a model more efficiently, how to get things to become more automated. And so I would quickly become the person that everyone came to for questions, and eventually I was needed in those leadership meetings. Most people want the reward of being a project manager without the grind, or they want it much sooner than what they're willing to work for. When I started getting those project management titles, usually my 5 years of experience or 4 years of experience would get questioned. And then I'd say something like, yeah, but I was working double time during that time. So really it's more like 8 years of experience. They'd laugh at me and it didn't really help my cause. But the thing is, you're not going to be working those 60-hour weeks forever. It's like investing. Eventually, all of that time that you put up front is going to pay off. And it's going to pay off much quicker than you think by transforming your career into project management at an exponential rate, where you're going to get paid much more and work a lot less. However, you have to know where to focus your efforts. You can't just be doing overtime on busy work that isn't going to move your career in the direction that you want it to go. The goal here is to work really hard in your technical career, but put in that extra time strategically. You're going to need to build on the skills and tasks that'll help you build on those project management skills. And if you're in a technical career, developing those technical skills so that it gives you credibility as a project manager. Doing that will get you to the point of being a project manager much quicker than you think. But it only works if you're working on the right things. So concentrate on things like anything that helps you build cross-functional relationships and build on those communication skills. Things like coordination tasks, compiling deliverables where you know you're going to need to talk to all of the discipline leads, all of the components, and put something finalized together so you can see that final component while everyone needs to talk to you. Same thing with quality tasks. If you're helping push through quality coordination, you're actually going to have to talk to all of the disciplines within a project and coordinate with them and make sure that everything's aligning. All of those kind of tasks not only help you with your communication skills, because essentially you're going to have to learn how to communicate with all the engineers as well as the non-engineers, but it'll also help you be involved in all of the components of a project and seeing how all of the components of the project needs to align with themselves. So these type of tasks are so critical in building those fundamental project management skills. Then again, Build on your specific technical skills. For me, it was civil engineering and design. I had to get really good at my technical skills in order to have that credibility that I knew what I was doing, that I could go and I could coordinate and talk to engineers who had much more experience than I did. That really helped with people trusting me and respecting me. Next, I would work on efficiency tasks. Anything that makes delivering to the client much more efficient. These are value adding tasks. And any tasks that have a high return on investment. Those tasks are usually the ones that save schedule or save budget. So, what saves schedule and saves budget? It's usually efficiency, but obviously other things. So concentrate on those high return on investment things that you can do that adds value to the project. It'll be noticed by your project manager. They'll see that you notice things where you can grow within the project, that you're innovative within your industry. Then I would try to understand technical processes much deeper than just my immediate tasks. That's one thing that truly separates a very technically focused person from someone who is very obviously meant for leadership. If you're delivering your task saying, here's the estimate that I was meant to do, thank you, gonna sign off now, gonna go away now, don't wanna know about anything else that's happening in the project, then you're very focused on the technical, right? Compared to someone who's, here's my estimate, and then wanting to know how does it impact the project? Where does it go to from here? Is that estimate that I provided just a part of a larger estimate? Is there a master estimate? Really wanting to know what else goes on around your specific task that you're doing because you care about the project as a whole, not just delivering your task and being good at your task, which is completely okay if that's what you want to do. But if you want to be a project manager, you want to understand more than that. The next thing I would do is start learning how to anticipate risks and issues on a project and bringing those up to leadership. For example, if there's a critical task and you're seeing that it's not being coordinated and it's going to impact your overall schedule and you're the only one that's paying attention because you're the one in the weeds. So sometimes your project manager and leadership can't really see that detail because they're not in the weeds, then bring it up to them. Make sure that they know that you are paying attention to how the project moves forward. Your critical thinking, they're not the only ones critically thinking through things. You're being helpful because you're bringing your brain to the project. And finally, observing projects that succeed and that fail. You're going to learn more from lessons learned from places where things failed, projects that failed, than from those that succeeded. But it's always good to see why a project succeeded. So just start paying attention and observing projects like that, taking notes, knowing why one project succeeded and one project failed. Again, it's important to be strategic about the hard work because if you're working 16-hour days on busy work, that's just a recipe for burnout and it doesn't do anything for your career, which honestly also happened to me. I didn't learn to be strategic about my work until I was very, very deep in a burnout hole. And I had to dig myself out of it and then re-strategize how I was going to approach my career. Once I did that, once I, maintained the same level of work ethic, but focusing on the tasks that actually moved my career in the direction that I wanted to, once I started doing that, I saw the biggest improvement in how my career trajectory was going. Once I dug myself out of that burnout hole, I started focusing on efficiency tasks and delivering my technical work, honing in on my technical skills. And then I started asking for coordination tasks. I led quality teams. I was able to deliver full-blown engineering plans through coordination and through my own technical skills. Eventually, after all of this, in my late 20s, my work-life environment changed dramatically. Opportunities started coming very easily. And then I started working a lot less while I was making a lot more. So, in summary, if you're early on in your career, but you know that you want to start going through the project management route, I would work hard early on, but very strategically. And I would focus on the skills and knowledge that compound over time. Eventually, that'll get you to that project management role very quickly, but only if you have a solid foundation. All right, that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll see you on the next one. Bye, everyone.